What up, family? Guys, sport that's when Maryland 7:14 p.m. My fault. A.M. I wish it was late, nigga. A.M. May 7th, 2025. We get wonderful Wednesday. Look, Mary Magamiris, we going all the way to 7:21. You know, it's funny how people abuse you and then blame the victim when it's all said and done. You know, they coming after Usher. They just couldn't leave him alone and stuff. You know, Usher was a pretty boy and still a young, nice looking young man or whatever and stuff. And, you know, he was under the P. Diddy umbrella or whatever. And P. Diddy was under somebody else's umbrella, and all of it stems from Clive Davis and stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? Why y'all don't never blame the white man? Eminem has started more shit in the law loud and shit. And me being the originator of rap, me, Mary Lee, aka Mary Mack, your news supporter, originator of rap since the age of 1975. But more so than anything, stand up for myself at the age of 6 in 1973 for being a child abuse victim and stuff. You know, and people seeing my upbringing and, you know, my potentials, you know, always had people around me that was on some weird shit. You know, we call them weirdos nowadays. You understand what I'm saying? Real talk. And, you know, they sabotage you. So if you ever, you know, almost make it or try to make it, you know what I'm saying? They gonna always try to bring you down and sending people around to, you know, guilty by association type shit, you know. And everybody know I ain't got no goddamn friends. I ain't got no associates. I got my higher power. I always had my higher power. But Usher, you know, he grew up trying to be somebody and stuff, and he's real good at what he does, you know, singing and dancing and stuff. But of course, they just gotta dirty up your name, like Tupac said. And then, you know, they use the dead or the alleged dead people to keep shit started. Why? Because they love you when you're dead and hate you when you're alive and stuff, you know. And then they want to say that Usher wasn't speaking out against the Me Too movement or whatever, you know, people been victims or whatever. But I've been speaking out since I was 6 years old, and now that, you know, everybody kind of know who I am, they still trying to, you know, protect the people who violated me, Usher, probably you, viewer. You understand what I'm saying? Because believe me, you worth something too. You just haven't, you know, tapped into your greatness or whatever and stuff, you know, because they don't want you to know you're worth something. And that's more dead than you are alive and stuff, you know. And then they give you drugs and alcohol and pacify you and, you know, get you to be quiet and stuff. So, you know, you won't speak out and stuff. Why? Because if everybody spoke out and spoke up, then, you know, the old pedophiles and stuff that's almost 100 years old, like Clive Davis, you know, and Clive Davis said he's bisexual, and P. Diddy hung around him. Y'all know the story, real tough. Long story short, you know, I'm tired of my people getting thrown under the bus because niggas like Oprah Winfrey and stuff sold me out and stuff for a so-called career, thinking she was going to be the only black lady or woman or whatever billionaire, and without me, you wouldn't have been none of that and stuff. Real talk. When you gonna give back, Oprah? When you gonna stand up for people that stood up for you and stuff? You claiming you was a victim, but you can't rape the willing. So, you know, and I say that because if you was really violated, you know my story is true. You would have helped me a long time ago. You would have gave me $2 million tax free long time ago. That's nothing to a billionaire. You understand what I'm saying? Real talk. And all you did was talk shit. That's it. That's all you did. You did one movie. You've been holding on to that. You know, you told Harpo to beat me. You understand? For decades and shit. That's your only real story and come up in life and stuff. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you've been holding on to me for over 30 years and shit. Why? You think you're gonna go to heaven? You think you're gonna go to heaven? You gotta get past me. You're not gonna make it without getting past me. You know, I don't know who intimidated you and why you scared to, you know, speak out or whatever and stuff, you know, and why you feel it's much easier to, you know, throw me under the bus than to stand up. But I'm here to tell you, I'm still standing, I'm still talking, I'm still telling my story, and people are still listening, and they understand what time it is. And if you think if I die, get killed or whatever, y'all gonna come up off of me one last time and live happily ever after, you can't even live happily ever after now, and I'm still alive and stuff. I guarantee you lose more sleep than I do. Real talk. I ain't losing no sleep over no bullshit that I know is true. Real talk. So Usher, keep your head up, man. Real talk. You know what time it is and stuff. And then you end up with a white lady having babies by. I know your love was chilly. You understand what I'm saying? Real talk. You should have fought for that. Real talk. Because man, you know, they just abuse us and stuff. That's what they do. They just pass us around like a dirty dish rag and shit. You understand? I got my cold sore from a white girl back in the day. Real talk. So it ain't us that's dirty. It's them that's dirtying up our names and stuff for real. Taking our money, property and prestige, fame, fortune, this, that, and the third. I'm not gonna be with no white person and stuff in the head. And I'm having dreams about white girls and stuff. And when they get on, they leave your ass for a white girl. No, that's not gonna be my story. I tested the waters back in the day, and they burnt my ass. Real motherfucking talk. Fuck them motherfuckers. And you know what? I think I'm just gonna be celibate the rest of my life. I don't know what's gonna happen. But I know one thing, I'm an open book and everybody know my story. So you try to come at me with that, I'ma sue you shit. I'ma sue you first and shit. Real motherfucking talk. For knowing what the fuck you was doing to me and trying to sue me and um you understand, impersonating the real motherfucking shit. Real talk. Hang in there, Usher. If you got to, speak up and save your children. Be a man that you were supposed to be or whatever. Because they trying to P. Diddy you and stuff. Real talk. You made too much money, man. Real talk. They never wanted us to have anything from the beginning. That's the honest God's truth. Whatever happens to me, happens to everybody else. And no, I ain't had shit. I ain't got shit after deal. Nothing. Not even an apology. 721. Featherfist, you said I signed a contract. Yeah, I'm a contract killer. And guess what? My signature is on there just like yours. Real fucking talk. This the 7. If I was gambling, you'd be dead. Real talk. And this the 5. I'm the originator rap since the age of 8, 1975. I ain't got a lot of kick it. Peace.